What is going on, you sexy beasts? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Pulsar Compact, the Carbine version of the Vanu Sovereignty's Pulsar VS1. The Pulsar Compact, which will be referred to as the Pulsar C in this review, is a very high damaging carbine with some intense recoil to boot. This weapon is on par with most of the new conglomerate's weapons in terms of damage and a bit faster of a fire rate. This gun is far too similar to the new conglomerate's weaponry, so it's hard to compare this to the Terran Republic's guns. Since the Pulsar C is a hard-hitting, medium fire rate carbine, this allows engineers or light assaults to engage enemies at both close quarters and medium range firefights. Without further ado, let's talk a bit about this weapon. So I'm not sure if this is me or not, but starting off with this gun, I had no iron sights. So when I went to aim down the sights, it was just a rail. So first attachment I had to grab was the reflex sight. Due to this being a carbine, I just went with my bread and butter 2x reflex sight, giving me the adaptability to track targets in close quarters combat, as well as give that extra zoom potential for medium ranges. I can't comment on the iron sights, since most of the Vanu weapons I've tried have all lacked proper sights. Just rails once again. But tested and true, the reflex sights work wonders for this gun. If you're not quite sure what to grab on any gun, I'd recommend just getting the 2x reflex sight. But since it has 2x magnifications, you can tell the Pulsar C has some pretty crazy recoil. For vertical recoil, it had a pull of 0.42 upward and an equal pattern for horizontal recoil. This means that for every bullet, the muzzle of the weapon will be moving upward at a rate of 0.42 and will randomly bounce from left to right at an equal rate as well. To put this into perspective, the vertical recoil of the new conglomerate's default carbine, the AF-19 Mercenary, is 0.4. The Pulsar C has a first shot multiplier of 1.5 times, giving the first bullet of every non-sustained fire an extra jump. This makes the Pulsar C a bit harder to control, but nothing we can't fix with attachments. On to the pure statistics of this carbine. This carbine features a fire rate of 577 rounds per minute, which is a lot slower than other available Vanu carbines, but still in line with the new conglomerate carbines. Each bullet deals a maximum of 167 damage, which comes out to be about 7 bars worth of health or shields and damage. With such raw stopping power, the Pulsar C can drop any non-infiltrator class in 6 bullets. Taking its fire rate into consideration, this gives the weapon a time to kill of 0.62 seconds. Since first-person shooters are a game of seconds, this is a pretty slow time to drop your target in comparison to most of the other weapons available in the game. Luckily, the Pulsar C is designed for medium-range engagements, where time to kill is severely reduced due to rounds usually not landing on targets. That's where the higher damage per rounds come into play. With a standard magazine size of 30 rounds and 150 in the reserve, you can kill up to 5 enemies with one magazine, or a total of 30 with all your allotted ammunition. With a reload speed of 2 seconds with a round in the magazine or battery, and a speed of 2.65 seconds with still an empty battery, this gives the carbine a very strong urban fighting style, allowing the user to duck in and out of cover while keeping ammunition in the gun for when it's needed most. Okay, so let's take a moment and talk about this carbine. It is very, well, bland, and I love it. It has a hard-hitting round and medium fire rate, giving it such a large adaptability. This weapon isn't going to be a use this gun only in CQC situation. This weapon allows the user to engage targets at nearly any range, whether it's going to be close quarters or at medium ranges, or really far range, which I probably wouldn't recommend. Due to how the game is played, long-range firefights are usually inexistent anyway. With that being said, my attachments of choice are going to be the 2x reflex for the optics, which I've already stated before, the compensated for the barrel attachment, and the foregrip and advanced foregrip for the rail attachment. This allows me to fight enemies at medium range while keeping my close quarters fighting potential relatively the same. With Planetside 2 being totally wonky with how attachments are distributed per weapon, there is indeed an advanced version of the foregrip. There is no aesthetic changes, but the advanced level virtually removes all horizontal recoil of the gun it's attached to. Since the horizontal recoil for this weapon is very noticeable, getting the advanced foregrip as soon as possible will be very beneficial to see the true strength of this weapon. On the topic of recoil, this weapon has some very beefy vertical recoil, so the compensator is a must if you plan on going fully automatic quite often, which I just love to do. The Pulsar C allows the use of high velocity ammunition, but you probably shouldn't use it. Unless you're really having trouble with hitting targets that are moving perpendicular to you, there's just no reason to make the vertical recoil any more difficult to manage than it currently is. Just don't worry about ammunition types for this gun. How hard is the Pulsar Compact going to hurt your certification wallet? Not too terribly, honestly. The station cash cost of the Pulsar Compact is $500, or a certification point cost of $250. This is a pretty awesome price for the tool of destruction you get. With the optics of your choice, which should totally be a 2x reflex by the way, this tosses on another 30 certification points. The big beef I have with the required certification dump is the foregrip. The first foregrip is 100 certs, and then in order to get the advanced version of the foregrip, that's another 100 certs you'll have to spend. Top it all off with a compensator, it'll add on another 100 certification points. After it's all said and done, you got your super fancy Pulsar Compact all pimped out with its attachments. You'll be set back a total of 580 certification points. So there's my thoughts and opinions on the Pulsar Compact, the Carbine version of the Vanu Sovereignty's Pulsar VS1. Overall, the weapon is a very strong medium-range carbine, giving the light assault or engineer classes a pretty rounded adaptability in terms of combat effectiveness at different ranges. In close quarters combat, the Pulsar C loses its luster up against faster firing weapons. So, there's my first Vanu Sovereignty weapon review. How was it? Most of the data I collected could be slightly erroneous, as I had to do some pretty awesomely crazy space math in order to get the most of the statistics. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and found it informative and maybe somewhat entertaining. Did you like it? Give it a thumbs up. Got an idea for the next weapon you'd like me to review? Drop a suggestion in the comments below. And by the way, did you know that if you did a 360-degree turn while not looking through the scope on an infiltrator class, all while being a Terran while cloaked, you'll do a complete circle? Try it out in game. Trust me. Would you want to see more videos like this in the future? Subscribe because it is free.